The power of intercession. The value of righteousness. In a serene oak grove at Mamre, the Lord appeared once again to Abraham. On a scorching summer afternoon, as Abraham sat outside his tent, he noticed 3 men approaching. Excitedly, he hurried to greet them and invited them to rest in the shade of a tree while he fetched water and food to refresh them. God revealed to Abraham his plan for him to become a mighty nation, a source of blessing for all nations, and to have godly descendants. The Lord then disclosed his intention to investigate the evil in Sodom and Gomorrah, prompting Abraham to plead for the city's salvation if even a few righteous individuals were found. Through a series of negotiations, Abraham successfully bargained with God to spare the cities for the sake of as few as 10 righteous people. After their conversation, the Lord continued on his way, leaving Abraham to reflect in his tent. Genesis 18. In the first verse of this chapter, Abraham saw the Lord and 3 men appeared to him, representing Jehovah. 2 of them went to Sodom, called angels, while 1 stayed with Abraham. This shows that Jehovah appeared in all 3 men. God shared his plans with Abraham, his friend, as those who fear God gain insight into his plans. By staying close to God, one can understand his purposes in their life and in the world. Abraham was trusted with this knowledge because he was a source of blessing to the nations and the lawgiver to his descendants. This understanding would lead to worship of Jehovah, upright living, and the fulfillment of the blessings promised to Abraham. God's friends are given insight to benefit others by guiding them in righteousness to receive God's blessings. The representation of Jehovah checking Sodom's sins shows the gradual reveal of divine revelation. God's justice is shown in a simple form, not judging without full knowledge. Abraham's intercession for the sinners in Sodom highlights his compassion, learned from his faith in God. Real communion with Jesus leads to seeing others as he does, with care and concern for their well-being. Abraham's boldness in his prayers to God sets an example for us to follow. He persistently asked for more, knowing that God's gifts are limitless and increase our capacity for more. He also appealed to God's sense of justice, reminding him to act in accordance with the justice he has instilled in us. This challenges us to trust that God's actions, even when confusing, are ultimately just. Abraham believed that God does what is right, rather than what is right because God does it. Despite Abraham's misunderstanding of justice, his plea was still valid. Prayer for others is powerful and can bring blessings and prevent harm. Righteous individuals are essential for society's preservation and continuation, as God delays judgment in hopes of repentance. Abraham's faith led to a close relationship with God, being considered righteous and a friend of God. This interaction between God and humans demonstrates intimacy, trust, and influence, forecasting Christ's teachings on the deep connection between believers and God. Abraham, a friend of God, feels compassion for the people of Sodom despite not having any close ties with them. His heart is softened by his communion with God, leading him to show sympathy towards the wicked city facing destruction. This display of divine charity highlights the connection between love for God and love for humanity, transcending all boundaries and calling for intercession and action to save sinners from their fate. The friend of God has complete faith in the righteousness of his actions. Abraham's questioning reflects his belief that God should distinguish between the fate of the righteous and the wicked. However, in times of widespread calamity, the innocent often suffer alongside the guilty. While Abraham's concern for God's justice is commendable, it is his unwavering faith in God's perfect ways that should be copied. The prayer suggests that the righteous can bring blessings and protection to the wicked. This principle is valid, as everyone is responsible for their actions but can also benefit from the presence of the righteous. Blessings can spread from the righteous to the wicked, saving communities from destruction. While everyone is accountable for their deeds, Christians are connected in a community that can spread goodness. Those who serve God are the true saviors of society. The question of whether the judge of all the earth will do right is a key principle. Rather than silencing inquiries about divine actions, it reflects the belief that God's actions must be just. As the judge of all the earth, God is bound by his nature and relationship with humanity to always act in a way that is clearly right. In order for God's punishments to have moral impact and be fitting of him, they must be unquestionably righteous. The principle of rightness must be carefully guarded, as shown by Abraham's imperfect understanding of right, compared to New Testament ideals. Conscience requires education, and our ideas of divine justice are relative and evolving. We should be cautious before claiming to know the only way or rejecting a theory based on our sense of justice. God's friends has a special connection with him. True friendship involves honesty and openness. Those close to God are given insight into his will. This relationship is characterized by mutual trust and sharing of secrets. God's friends have the power to intercede with God on behalf of others, as well as themselves. Prayer is effective and not wasted, as shown throughout history. We must believe in the importance of intercession and pray for others constantly. Neglecting this duty is a mistake, as the prayers of the righteous have a real impact. Abraham's bold and almost rough prayer shows his deep intimacy with God. He appeals to God to protect his honor and name, showing a genuine desire for God's character to be upheld in the world. Despite breaking conventional worship norms, Abraham's real and heartfelt prayer is seen as true worship by God. His humble acknowledgement and the vast difference between himself and God deepens his respect. Perfect love removes fear and increases respect, allowing us to approach God with open hearts and genuine honesty. True boldness in prayer means speaking openly and honestly from the depths of our hearts, maintaining a balance of love, trust, and humility. Abraham's persistence in prayer is a powerful example for us to follow. He continues to seek God's favor, not giving up until he has poured out all his requests. This strong and unwavering faith stands as a big difference to the formal and routine prayers we often offer. Our prayers for others can often lack passion and intensity, but we are called to approach God with boldness and persistence. Jesus himself encourages us to pray without ceasing, showing us that our perseverance in prayer can have a real impact. Sometimes God delays in answering our prayers not because he is reluctant to bless us, but to draw us closer to him and deepen our trust. As we persist in prayer, our desires grow stronger, and the blessings we receive become even more precious. Friendship between God and Abraham is shown through God's revelation of his plans and Abraham's respectful yet loving words and persistent prayers. Jesus Christ also promises this level of friendship to his followers by sharing all he has learned from God and granting their requests if they remain in him. Here are some important lessons from Genesis 18 that are relevant for us today. 1. The power of intercession. Abraham's willingness to plead for Sodom shows the importance of praying and interceding on behalf of others, even those who may be living in sin. Our prayers for others can make a difference. 2. God's justice and mercy. God's willingness to spare the whole city for the sake of a few righteous people shows that he is both just and merciful. He is fair in judgment but eager to show mercy. 3. Boldness with humility. Abraham was bold in his requests, but he always approached God with humility and respect. This teaches us to approach God confidently, but also with reverence. 4. The value of righteousness. The passage shows that righteous people have a positive influence on society. Sometimes, the presence of just a few good people can bring blessing and protection to many. 5. God invites us into his plans. God chose to share his plans with Abraham, showing that he values relationship and partnership with his people. God invites us to be part of his work in the world through prayer and faithfulness. In summary, we are encouraged to pray for others, trust in God's justice and mercy, approach him with both confidence and humility, recognize the value of righteous living, and partner with God in caring for the world. Peace, now and always.